The night sky was red. Not sunset red, blood red. The full moon hung low above the Blackthorn fortress, glowing like an open wound. The air smelled of rain and danger. Wolves howled across the valley, their cries echoing through the dark hills that surrounded the city. Welcome back to Shadow Park Channel, and the story you're about to be listening to is marked by blood. If you're new here, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting stories like this. Let's dive in. Amara Reed was on her knees, wrists tied behind her back, mud and blood mixed on her skin. Her dark hair stuck to her face. 2 guards stood behind her, both tall, both afraid. No one wanted to be too close to the Alpha King when he was angry. At the top of the stone steps stood Alpha Lucian Blackthorn, the most feared werewolf in the modern world. He was dressed in black from head to toe, his shirt open at the neck, a silver chain around his throat that shimmered under the moonlight. His eyes were gold, glowing faintly, and when he looked down at Amara, the whole courtyard seemed to fall silent. "Do you know why you're here?" His voice was deep and calm, but it carried like thunder. Amara lifted her chin. Her lip was cut, but she smiled anyway. "Because you like to show off?" The guards tensed. No one spoke to Lucian that way. Lucian took a slow step down the stairs. "Your father's pack broke the treaty," he said. "You helped them. You gave them information about my patrol routes. You led them straight into my land." "I didn't lead anyone," Amara shot back. "And your land? You mean the forests you stole from us?" Lucian's eyes flashed brighter. "Careful. Or what? You'll kill me like you killed my father?" The words hit him like claws. For a second his jaw tightened, but his voice stayed cold. "Your father was a traitor. He deserved what he got." Amara spat at his boots. "Then do it. Kill me too." He looked down at the spit, then at her. The air grew heavy. "No," he said. "Death would be too easy for you." He turned and gave an order. "Bring the blade." A guard hurried away. The crowd murmured. Everyone knew what the Alpha's blade meant. Amara's heart thudded, but she refused to show fear. "You want revenge, Lucian? Fine. But don't pretend you're doing this for justice. You just hate that my father beat you once." Lucian stepped closer until his boots touched the edge of her knees. "Your father slaughtered my brother," he said quietly. "He burned my pack house. Don't talk to me about hate, you were born from it." The guard returned, holding a silver dagger. Its handle was carved with old symbols, the mark of the Alpha line. Lucian took it. He looked down at Amara again. "By the law of the blood moon," he said, "a traitor's child must pay the price in blood." He raised the blade. The crowd held its breath. Amara closed her eyes. She expected pain. She expected cold steel. But instead, warmth. Lucian's hand gripped her chin. His breath brushed her lips. The blade clattered to the ground. And then, before anyone could react, he leaned down and bit her. His teeth sank into the soft skin of her neck. Amara gasped, her whole body trembling. Heat shot through her veins like fire. The world spun. She could feel his heartbeat, feel his anger, feel everything. When he finally pulled back, his eyes glowed even brighter. A thin line of blood ran down her collarbone. The mark pulsed. "You're mine now," Lucian said. His voice was calm again, but it was the calm before a storm. "Marked by my blood. Bound to me until the day you die." Amara tried to move, but her body wouldn't listen. The bond crawled under her skin, connecting to something deep inside her chest. What did you do to me?" she whispered. Lucian wiped his mouth with his thumb. "You wanted to live. Now you will. As my prisoner. As my curse." The guards looked away. No one dared speak. Lucian turned to them. "Take her to the East Wing. Lock every door. No one touches her." As they dragged her up the steps, Amara shouted, "You think this makes you strong? You think I'll ever bow to you?" Lucian didn't look back. "You already did," he said. They threw her into a room made of stone and steel. A single bed, no window, just a faint hum from the lights above. The modern world had cameras and scanners, but the old ways still ruled here, wolves, blood, and dominance. Amara pulled against the cuffs on her wrists until her skin burned. The mark on her neck glowed faintly, throbbing with heat. She could feel him. Far away, Lucian was pacing in his office, and somehow she knew it. His anger, his confusion, they pulsed inside her chest like an echo. She slammed her fists against the wall. "Get out of my head." A deep voice answered from the other side of the room. "That's not how the mark works." Lucian stood at the door, arms crossed. Amara glared. "You sick monster." He stepped closer, the steel door sliding shut behind him. "You should thank me. The council wanted you dead. I saved your life. You call this saving?" She pointed at the mark. "You turned me into your pet." His eyes softened for a second. "You wouldn't survive a day out there. Every pack wants revenge for what your father did. At least here, no one can touch you." She laughed bitterly. "Oh, so I'm safe in my cage?" Lucian's lips twitched. "You have fire. I'll give you that." "I'll burn you with it," she said. He took another step, close enough that she could smell him, clean, sharp, something dark underneath. The air thickened. "Be careful, little wolf," he said quietly. "You don't know what you've just become." Amara met his eyes and forced a smile. "Neither do you." For a moment, the world went still. The bond between them throbbed like a living thing. She could feel his heartbeat racing just as fast as hers. Then he turned away. "You'll stay here until I decide what to do with you." He started to leave, but she called after him. "Why didn't you kill me, Lucian?" He stopped at the door. "Because," he said, "killing you would mean I never get to watch you suffer." The door shut. Hours passed. Amara lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, cold, perfect, cruel. Every time she touched her neck, the mark burned. She tried to focus on her father's voice in her memory. "Never trust a blackthorn. They smile like men, but they're wolves underneath." She whispered, "I won't break, father." But deep inside, the bond whispered back, "You already belong to him." Morning came. Rain fell against the glass walls of the fortress. Somewhere, cars rolled by on the road that led to the city, but inside, time felt frozen. Lucian watched the rain from his office window. His beta, Cade, stood beside him. "You marked her," Cade said quietly. Lucian didn't answer. "That's dangerous, Alpha. The council will question it. She's the last reed. If she dies, her pack rises again in rebellion. If she lives under my mark, they lose hope." Cade hesitated. "And if she finds out the truth?" Lucian turned, golden eyes sharp. "She won't." But he didn't sound sure. By nightfall, Amara had stopped fighting the cuffs. She sat in the corner, knees drawn up, trying to ignore the strange warmth that pulsed under her skin every time Lucian was near. When the door opened again, she jumped to her feet. A young servant entered with a tray of food. "Alpha's orders," he said. Amara crossed her arms. "Tell your Alpha he can eat his own food." The boy lowered his eyes. "He said you'd say that." She frowned. "And what did he say I'd do next?" The boy lifted his gaze. "He said you'd ask to see him before midnight." She laughed out loud. "Tell him not to hold his breath." Midnight came. The moon was full again, high and red above the clouds. The mark on her neck burned like fire. Her body felt restless, her thoughts foggy. And then, the door opened. Lucian walked in. No guards this time. Just him. Amara stepped back. "What now? Another lecture?" He closed the door quietly. "You feel it, don't you?" "I feel nothing," she lied. He walked closer. "You can feel my heartbeat." She swallowed hard. "Get out." "You're trembling," he said softly. "The bond reacts when we're near." "I said get out." Lucian stopped just an inch away from her. "I could, but you'd still feel me. That's what the blood mark does. It ties our souls." Amara met his eyes, her anger cracking into confusion. "Why me, Lucian? Out of everyone, why me?" His voice dropped low. Because I wanted to hate you. And I needed to remember why. He reached out as if to touch her cheek but stopped himself. For a second, he looked lost, like the alpha mask had slipped. Then he turned and walked to the door. Rest, Amara. Tomorrow, you'll start learning what it means to be mine. As the door closed, Amara pressed her hand to the mark on her neck. It pulsed once, twice, then steady, in rhythm with another heart. His heart. Her breath shook. I'll never be yours, she whispered into the dark. But deep inside, the bond whispered back, we'll see. The rain had not stopped since the night Lucian marked Amara. The blood moon had faded, but its echo stayed in the sky, red clouds hanging over the Blackthorn fortress. Inside, the world was quiet except for the sound of water hitting the glass walls. Amara sat on the edge of her bed. Her wrists were free now, but she still felt the invisible chains of Lucian's mark burning on her skin. No matter how far he was, she could feel him, his heartbeat, his anger, his silence. It was like sharing her body with an enemy. When the door opened, Amara's head snapped up. Lucian walked in, dressed in a black shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. He looked tired, but his eyes still carried that golden fire that made everyone step back. He held a cup of coffee in one hand and a folder in the other. You're awake early, he said calmly. I don't sleep much when I'm kidnapped, Amara replied. He placed the folder on the table. You're not a prisoner anymore. She gave a sharp laugh. Then open the door and watch me leave. You can't. Why not? Lucian looked at her. Because the mark binds you to this land. If you cross the border, your body will burn from the inside. Amara stood slowly. You're lying. Try it and find out. She wanted to scream at him, to throw something, but his calm voice made her chest tighten. She could feel that he wasn't lying. The bond pulsed when he spoke, like his words were carved into her skin. What do you want from me? She asked softly. Lucian didn't answer right away. He turned his back to her and stared out the window. Peace, he said at last. Between our packs. Between our bloodlines. Amara frowned. You think you can fix years of hate by biting me? It's a start. You're insane. Maybe, he said, finally turning to her. But I'm still Alpha. And you're mine. Amara crossed her arms. I'll never be yours. He smiled faintly. We'll see. By noon, Amara was escorted to the main hall. Lucian had called a meeting with his council. The room was large, filled with glass walls and a long wooden table. Old traditions mixed with modern luxury, silver lights, ancient banners, and security screens on every wall. When she entered, the whispers started immediately. That's her, someone said. The Reed girl. The one he marked. Amara ignored them and walked beside Lucian. She refused to look weak. Lucian stood at the head of the table. You all know who she is, he said. She will stay here under my protection. No one touches her. No one questions it. One of the elders, a man with gray hair and sharp eyes, spoke. Alpha, this is dangerous. The mark. I made the choice, Lucian cut in. She's under my blood law now. Amara felt every eye on her. She wanted to yell, to tell them she didn't want his protection, but something inside her stopped her. The mark pulsed again, keeping her silent. When the meeting ended, Lucian walked past her, but she caught his arm. What happens to my pack? They'll be watched, he said. If they stay quiet, they live. And if they don't? He looked at her, his golden eyes unreadable. Then they die. She slapped him before she could stop herself. The sound echoed through the hall. Lucian didn't move. He just looked at her, his jaw tight. Then, slowly, he said, you're brave. Or foolish. Both, she said. Kill me if you want, but stop pretending you're saving anyone. Lucian stepped closer, lowering his voice. I don't want to kill you, Amara. I just want you to understand what you are now. What am I? She hissed. My equal, he said. She froze. What? He took her hand and pressed it to his chest. His heartbeat thudded under her palm. The mark didn't just bind you to me. It split my power. Half of my alpha strength is in you now. That's why you can feel me. That's why you can't leave. Amara pulled her hand away. You're lying again. Then explain why you haven't fainted since I bit you. Any normal wolf would have died. She stared at him, her mind spinning. You made me part of you. Lucian nodded once. And that's why I can't let you go. That night, Amara stood on the balcony of her room, staring at the city lights below. Cars moved like tiny stars along the streets, and she wondered how it would feel to be human again, to have a normal life, to sleep without hearing someone else's heartbeat in her head. The door opened behind her. She didn't turn. You should rest, Lucian said. His voice was softer this time. I don't take orders from you. I wasn't giving one. She turned to face him. Then what do you want? He walked closer until the moonlight touched his face. I want to know why you're not afraid. Because fear is useless, she said simply. Lucian studied her for a long time. You remind me of my mother. That surprised her. Your mother? She was stubborn too. Never listened. She died because of it. Amara frowned. And now you punish every woman who reminds you of her? Lucian's lips twitched. You really have no filter. Get used to it. He stepped closer, close enough that the air between them felt heavy. For a second, she thought he might touch her. But instead, he whispered, you should stay inside during the storm. The mark reacts badly to lightning. Why? Afraid I'll escape? Afraid you'll get hurt. Amara's heart jumped before she could stop it. But she forced a smirk. Don't pretend to care, Alpha. He leaned in, voice low. Maybe I don't. Maybe I can't stop. Then he left, the door closing softly behind him. Hours later, thunder shook the fortress. Amara woke to the sound of guards shouting. She rushed to the door and heard voices in the hallway. Beta Cade's missing, someone yelled. He left the border gate open. Amara's chest tightened. Cade, the man who had warned her not to trust Lucian. What was he doing? She slipped out of her room and followed the noise. Downstairs, Lucian was shouting orders, his voice like lightning. Lock down every exit. Find him. Amara watched from the corner. For the first time, she saw fear in his eyes. When the guards ran off, she stepped out. What happened? Lucian turned sharply. You should be in your room. Tell me what's going on. Cade's gone, he said. And he took something with him. What? Lucian hesitated. A file. One that had your father's name on it. Amara's stomach dropped. Why would your beta have that? I don't know. She crossed her arms. Liar. Lucian growled low. Watch your words. Or what? You'll bite me again? He grabbed her wrist, his eyes flashing gold. You think I enjoy this bond? You think I wanted this? Then end it, she shouted. Break the mark. I can't, he said, voice raw. If I break it, we both die. Silence filled the hall. Rain poured outside, hitting the windows like stones. Amara slowly pulled her hand away. Then I guess we're both trapped. Lucian didn't answer. His eyes softened for the first time. Yes, he said quietly. We are. The next morning, the fortress felt different. Guards were on edge. The council whispered in corners. And Lucian was gone. Amara found out from a servant. He left before sunrise, the boy said. No one knows where. She looked down at her mark. It pulsed faintly, weaker than before. For the first time, she realized she couldn't feel his heartbeat. "Where did you go, Alpha?" she whispered. She tried to ignore the strange emptiness inside her chest. But deep down, she knew something was wrong. By nightfall, the news came. A rogue attack near the river border. Dozens of wolves dead. Lucian was among the missing. Amara stood at the balcony again, wind blowing through her hair. For someone she swore to hate, she couldn't stop thinking about him. The bond burned hotter, sharper, like fire and ice fighting in her veins. She closed her eyes. "You better not die on me, Alpha," she said softly. "Because I'm the one who's supposed to kill you." The wind carried her words into the dark. Far away, in the forest beyond the city lights, a single golden eye opened under the storm. Lucian was alive. And he was not alone. The night air was thick with tension. The blood moon still burned faintly above the trees, a ghostly reminder of the chaos that had shattered everything Amara knew. Lucian's scent lingered in the forest, cedar, smoke, and something darker that stirred her heartbeat against her will. She shouldn't have followed him. She shouldn't have cared. But the mark on her neck pulsed again, faint and hot, as if it were calling to its maker. "Stop," Amara whispered to herself, gripping the side of a tree. "You're not his. You'll never be his." But fate had already written otherwise. From the shadows, a low growl echoed. Her wolf stirred restlessly under her skin, clawing to break free. Then he appeared, Lucian, the alpha of the Black Ridge pack, tall and furious, his silver eyes catching the moonlight like shards of ice. "I told you to stay out of my territory," he said, voice sharp as steel. Amara's lips twisted into a defiant smile. "And I told you I don't take orders from a monster." Lucian's eyes darkened. "You call me monster, yet your pulse races every time I'm near." Her breath hitched, but she refused to let him see weakness. "That's the mark," she spat. "You cursed me with it." He stepped closer. "I saved you with it. By binding me to you," she snapped. "You marked me like property." Their words clashed like thunder. Neither wanted to step back. But the pull between them was unbearable, an invisible thread tightening every second. Lucian looked away, jaw clenched. "You don't understand what that night meant. The blood moon changes everything. You were dying, Amara. I had no choice." "You always have a choice," she whispered, eyes glistening. Silence. Only the wind through the leaves. Then his hand brushed against his neck, the same mark glowed faintly on his skin. "You think you're the only one suffering," he said softly. "This bond burns me too." Her heart ached, but pride kept her still. "Then burn, Alpha. Burn alone." She turned and walked away, but each step hurt more than the last. Behind her, Lucian's wolf howled once, long, broken, and full of something she didn't dare name. Morning came, but peace did not. Amara returned to the Moonvale Pack's camp only to find whispers waiting for her. Eyes followed her, accusing, suspicious. "She's marked," someone muttered. "She carries his scent," another hissed. Her father, Elder Darian, met her at the clearing. His expression was cold as stone. "What have you done, child?" Amara's chest tightened. "It wasn't my choice. You allowed him close enough to mark you." Darian roared. "Do you know what that means?" Tears stung her eyes. "He saved my life." "He cursed your bloodline," her father cut in. "No daughter of mine will carry an alpha's mark from a rival pack." He turned to the others. "Until the mark fades, she is no longer of this house." The words hit her like a blade. "Father, please. Go," he said. "Before your shame infects the rest of us." And just like that, Amara was cast out. She wandered until the forest swallowed her. The mark throbbed like a heartbeat beneath her skin. Her wolf whimpered, lonely, confused. Then, through the rain, a figure appeared again. Lucian. "Stay away," she warned, voice trembling. He stopped a few feet away, soaked, eyes glowing faintly. "I heard what they did. You don't have to face this alone." "I don't need you," she said. "Maybe not," he murmured, "but the mark does." "You're weakening." Amara tried to argue, but her vision blurred. The bond tugged painfully, stealing her strength. Lucian caught her before she hit the ground, his warmth seeping into her cold skin. "Let me go," she whispered weakly. "I can't," he said. "If you die, I die." Lightning split the sky. For a moment, their eyes met, wild, desperate, trapped between hate and need. Then, something shifted. Her wolf stirred and brushed against his in the link between them, two souls touching for the first time not in anger, but in recognition. Lucian froze. "Did you feel that?" Amara didn't answer. She closed her eyes as exhaustion took her. He carried her to his den deep within the mountains, laying her by the fire. For hours, he sat watching her sleep, the storm outside roaring like the war between their hearts. When she woke, her head rested against something warm. Lucian. His arm was around her, protective, steady. For the first time, she didn't move away. "Why are you doing this?" she asked softly. "Because the moon chose," he said. "And I don't defy the moon." "But I do," she whispered. He smirked faintly. "That's what I like about you." She blinked at him, confused. "You don't like me." "Maybe not," he said, eyes dark and unreadable. "But I can't ignore what's mine." The word mine burned in her ears, and before she could stop herself, she slapped him. "Don't ever call me that again," she hissed. Lucian didn't flinch. He just looked at her, a strange sadness in his gaze. "I deserve that." Then he stood, walking toward the cave entrance. "You can leave at dawn if you wish. The mark will fade eventually, or kill us both." Amara stared at him, her chest heavy with something she couldn't name. Outside, dawn painted the mountains gold. But inside, the fire crackled, and the bond between them pulsed, alive, unstoppable. That night, Amara dreamed of blood and moonlight. She saw herself standing on a cliff, Lucian reaching for her. But when she took his hand, she saw claws, fangs, and fire. When she woke, her body was shaking. She went outside to clear her head. Lucian was there, shirtless, training with his warriors. His movements were sharp, brutal, beautiful. He noticed her and froze. Their eyes locked again. "Leaving?" he asked. "Yes," she said, forcing confidence she didn't feel. He nodded once, though his jaw tightened. "Then go before I stop you." For a second, neither moved. The wind carried the faint scent of her tears. Then she turned and walked away. Lucian watched her until she disappeared among the trees. Only then did he whisper to himself, "Run as far as you want, little wolf. You'll still feel me in your blood." The mark on his neck burned in answer. And so it began, the war of the heart, the war of the packs, and the war against destiny itself. Because the blood moon had bound them not just by skin, but by fate. The days after Amara's departure blurred into silence. The forest felt different, emptier somehow. Her wolf paced restlessly inside her chest, growling every time the mark on her neck pulsed. No matter how far she went, she could still feel Lucian. His heartbeat. His pain. His anger. She had tried to ignore it, tried to run. But the bond was like a chain wrapped around her soul. It tugged and burned every time he was near danger. And she could feel it now, he was angry. Very angry. By the time she reached the border between their lands, the air already smelled of smoke. The Black Ridge pack was under attack. Her heart leapt to her throat. "No," she whispered, "it can't be." But before she could stop herself, her feet were moving. She shifted into her wolf form, fur white as snow beneath the rising moon, and ran through the forest faster than she ever had before. Trees blurred. The wind cut her face. She didn't care. The pull of the mark was stronger than fear, stronger than logic. When she broke through the tree-line, she saw flames licking the sky. Wolves clashed in the valley, fangs, blood, and chaos. The scent of iron filled the air. And in the middle of it all stood Lucian. He was a whirlwind of power, his claws glowing with red light as he tore through enemies. Blood streaked his arms, but his eyes burned with pure rage. He looked like a god of war. Yet even from a distance, Amara could see it, he was losing control. "Lucian," she whispered, her wolf whimpering. She shifted back into human form, body trembling, and ran straight into the firestorm. A wolf lunged for her, she dodged, grabbed a burning branch, and struck. Another came, she kicked it aside. But her breath caught when one of Lucian's warriors spotted her. "Moonveil," he shouted. "She's one of them." Before he could reach her, Lucian's roar thundered across the battlefield. "Touch her and die." Every wolf froze. Even the fire seemed to hold its breath. Lucian turned slowly, his chest heaving, his eyes glowing silver. For a second, his gaze softened when he saw her, then it hardened again. "You shouldn't be here. And you shouldn't be dying," she shouted back. He blinked. "I'm not." Before he could finish, an arrow sliced through the air and buried itself in his shoulder. "Lucian," she screamed. He fell to one knee, blood spilling down his arm. Without thinking, Amara ran to him, ignoring the chaos around her. She knelt beside him, gripping the shaft of the arrow. "Don't touch it," he hissed. "Shut up," she said, and yanked it out. He growled in pain, his claws digging into the ground. "You're insane. And you're welcome." For a moment, their eyes met again, fire and ice, rage and love, and the bond pulsed like a living thing. She could feel his heartbeat matching hers. Then the glow from his wound faded, and the mark on both their necks dimmed. Lucian's second in command, Darius, ran up to them. "Alpha, we can't hold them." Lucian's gaze snapped up. "Fall back to the ridge." Darius hesitated, glancing at Amara. "But..." "I said fall back." The warriors obeyed, retreating up the mountain path. Lucian stood, swaying slightly, and Amara moved to steady him. "Don't," he warned. "If you touch me now, I might not let go." She froze. The meaning in his words sent a shiver through her chest. "I didn't come here to be your prisoner," she said softly. "I came because I felt your pain." Lucian looked at her then, truly looked at her, as though seeing her for the first time. His expression cracked, the alpha mask slipping, revealing something vulnerable beneath. "You felt it too?" "Yes," she whispered. "Every wound. Every breath. Every heartbeat." His hand brushed her cheek before he could stop himself. "Then maybe this curse is more than punishment." Their moment shattered when the ground shook. A massive dark figure emerged from the burning trees, a wolf twice the size of the others, eyes glowing green. "Shadowfang," Lucian growled. "The rogue alpha." The beast howled, voice deep and distorted. "You took what was mine, Lucian. The blood moon should have been mine." Amara's heart dropped. "He's talking about the ritual?" Lucian nodded grimly. "He wanted the power that came with the blood moon's mark. But it chose you instead." The rogue's laughter was like thunder. "Then I'll kill you both and take it by force." Lucian shifted in a blur of fur and fury, his wolf form magnificent under the burning sky. Amara watched as he lunged at the rogue, claws meeting claws, blood meeting blood. But Shadowfang was stronger, his dark magic twisted the air around them. Each strike Lucian made was met with double the force. Amara knew he wouldn't last long like this. She could feel his exhaustion through the bond. Every wound he took, she felt, sharp, cold pain spreading across her chest. "Lucian," she screamed, tears blurring her vision. He turned his head just long enough to shout, "Stay back." She didn't listen. She never did. Drawing on the mark's strange power, she stepped forward, hands glowing faintly red. She didn't know how or why, but something deep inside her responded, her wolf, her blood, her connection to him. The mark flared bright, connecting them with a line of crimson light. Lucian's wolf growled, the glow spreading across his fur like fire. The rogue staggered back, snarling. Amara felt power flow through her, wild, burning, divine. Together, they struck. Lucian's claws tore through Shadowfang's chest, while Amara's energy flared, pushing the rogue back in a burst of light. The ground split. The fire roared higher. Then silence. When it ended, the rogue's body lay motionless, dissolving into black ash that vanished in the wind. Lucian shifted back, covered in blood, panting. Amara ran to him, trembling. "You're hurt." "So are you," he said, brushing his thumb across her cheek where blood had smeared. "Again." She laughed softly through her tears. "You're impossible." He gave a weak smirk. "So are you." That night, after the fires died, the pack buried their dead. The survivors bowed to Lucian, murmuring prayers to the moon goddess. When Amara tried to leave quietly, he stopped her. "You can't go back," he said. "Your pack won't take you. I'll find another way." Lucian stepped closer. "Stay." She blinked. "What?" "Stay here," he said simply. "You saved us. You earned a place here." "I don't belong here, Lucian." "You belong wherever you choose," he said, his tone softer than she'd ever heard it. "And you chose to save me." Her heart ached. "You make everything sound so simple." "It is," he said. "You just don't want to admit you care." "I don't," she started, but his hand touched hers, and words died in her throat. They stood there, inches apart, the bond thrumming quietly between them. The night was cold, but the heat from his body was enough to make her shiver. Finally, she whispered, "If I stay, it's not for you. It's for me." Lucian smiled faintly. "Then that's enough." Days turned into weeks. The Black Ridge pack rebuilt what was lost. Amara trained with the warriors, learned their ways, and earned their respect. But no matter how much she tried to ignore it, the bond with Lucian deepened every day. They argued constantly. About leadership, about strategy, about her stubbornness. But every argument ended the same way, with silence heavy enough to make her heart race. One night, after a long training session, Lucian found her sitting by the river. "You fight like you hate the world," he said. "Maybe I do." He sat beside her, watching the moon reflect on the water. "Then hate it with me." She turned to him. "You're serious?" He nodded slowly. "Hate, love, they're not so different. Both make you bleed." "Wise words from a man who started a war," she muttered. He smirked. "And ended one." For a while, they sat in silence. The sound of the river filled the space between them. Then he reached out and gently took her hand. She didn't pull away this time. "Tell me what you're thinking," he said. "That I should hate you," she whispered. "And do you?" She hesitated. "I don't know anymore." Lucian's eyes softened. "Then we're both doomed." She looked up at him, at the man who was supposed to be her enemy but somehow had become something more, something dangerous, something inevitable. "Lucian," she whispered, voice trembling. "If this is fate's plan, I hate it." "Then we'll make our own," he said. And under the silver light of the moon, as the wind whispered through the trees, their hearts finally beat in rhythm, not as enemies, but as something far more complicated. Something neither could escape. But destiny wasn't done with them yet. Because far away, under another moon, a new shadow stirred, one that knew the secret of their mark, and the true price of the blood moon's gift. And soon, both of them would learn that love marked by blood never comes without a cost. The days after the battle were quiet. Too quiet. The forest that once echoed with howls now whispered like a secret no one dared to speak. The pack was healing, rebuilding, but something between Amara and Lucian had changed. It wasn't just the bond anymore. It was the looks that lingered too long, the silence that said too much. They moved like magnets, drawn close only to pull apart before the fire consumed them. Lucian avoided her most days, hiding behind his duties as alpha. But Amara could feel him everywhere, his scent on the wind, his heartbeat thrumming faintly beneath her skin. The mark had connected them too deeply. And it scared her more than she'd ever admit. That morning, Amara woke before dawn. The air was heavy with mist, the trees dripping silver dew. She walked barefoot to the training grounds, hoping to lose herself in movement, in sweat, in anything that wasn't thinking of him. But when she arrived, he was already there. Lucian stood shirtless beneath the rising sun, his body slick with sweat as he moved through slow, powerful strikes. Each motion was precise, controlled, dangerous. The sight of him made her throat tighten. She turned to leave, but his voice stopped her. Running again, Moonvale? She stiffened. I'm not running. He smirked. You're always running. Amara crossed her arms. And you're always watching. Lucian tilted his head, eyes glinting. Maybe because I can't help it. Silence. Heavy and sharp. Then she sighed, stepping closer. You're supposed to be resting, not training. I can't rest, he said quietly, lowering his gaze. Not with this. He touched the mark on his neck, the faint red glow that mirrored hers. It never stops burning. She swallowed hard. Maybe that's your punishment. He gave a humorless laugh. Or maybe it's yours. Their eyes locked, and for a moment, the world around them disappeared. No fire. No packs. No war. Just the sound of breathing, the space between them charged with everything they refused to say. Then he spoke, voice low. What if the goddess didn't curse us, Amara? What if she bound us for a reason? She shook her head, heart pounding. Don't start this. I'm serious, he said, stepping closer. Every time I touch you, I feel stronger. Every time you fight, I feel it in my blood. You felt it too, didn't you? She wanted to lie. She wanted to say no. But her voice betrayed her. Yes. Lucian's gaze softened. Then stop fighting it. Amara's breath hitched. If I stop, I'll fall. Then fall, he whispered. The words hung in the air, dangerous and beautiful. Her hand trembled as she reached out, but before she could touch him, a sharp howl cut through the trees. Lucian's head snapped up. Scouts. They both shifted instantly, instincts taking over. Within minutes, they reached the border where two warriors stood panting beside a fallen body. It was a messenger from the Moonvale pack. Amara's blood ran cold. That's one of ours. The wolf shifted back, bleeding heavily. Alpha. Alpha Rowan sent me, he gasped. He says the rogues are moving again. The blood moon's power, something's wrong. The mark, it's spreading. Lucian frowned. Spreading? The messenger's eyes flicked to Amara. He says the girl must return. Before it consumes her. Before she could question him, the messenger collapsed, lifeless. Lucian's jaw clenched. They know about the mark. Amara's heart pounded. How? No one outside your pack saw it. He turned to her, his expression dark. Unless someone told them. Her stomach dropped. You think I think, he said carefully, someone wants to use you. Anger flared in her chest. So now I'm bait again? You're a target, he growled. Whether you like it or not. I didn't ask for this, Lucian. And I didn't ask to be tied to you, he snapped. The silence after that was like a blade. Amara took a shaky breath. Then maybe we should break it. Lucian's eyes darkened. You can't. Maybe I can, she said, voice trembling. If the blood moon gave it, maybe I can take it back. Amara. She turned away before he could stop her. Don't follow me. That night, she left the pack house and went deep into the woods alone. The moon hung low, crimson and bright. The same moon that had cursed her now watched like a witness. Amara knelt in the clearing and drew a circle in the dirt. She remembered the old chants her mother used to whisper, words meant for the moon goddess alone. Blood to bond, bond to break, she murmured. Goddess, take what you gave, free me. The wind stirred, carrying whispers. Her mark glowed brighter, burning like fire. Pain shot through her chest. She screamed, clutching her neck. Then she saw her reflection in the river nearby, and gasped. Her eyes glowed blood red. Lucian burst into the clearing moments later, drawn by the pull of her pain. Amara. She turned toward him, her face pale, the red glow still burning in her eyes. Stay back, she said hoarsely. I can't control it. Lucian ignored her, stepping closer. You're tearing the bond apart, it'll kill you. That's the point, she cried. I don't want this anymore. He grabbed her shoulders. You think dying will fix it? You think leaving me like that will make me forget you? Her tears fell hot. You'll be free. I don't want to be free, he shouted. The forest shook. The mark between them flared blindingly bright, forcing them both to their knees. The pain was unbearable, like their souls were being ripped apart. Lucian gritted his teeth, holding on to her hands. Look at me, Amara. Don't let go. I can't. Yes, you can. You're stronger than this. Her breath came in sobs. Why do you care? Because he stopped, choking on the words. Because I can't lose you. The glow dimmed suddenly, the mark stabilizing. The light between them faded, leaving only silence and the sound of their ragged breaths. Lucian cupped her face, forehead resting against hers. You scared the hell out of me. I told you not to follow, she whispered weakly. I never listen. She let out a broken laugh. That makes two of us. He held her tighter, the warmth of his touch steadying her shaking body. The mark can't be broken, Amara. It's not a curse. It's a choice we keep making. She closed her eyes, too tired to argue. Then we're both fools. Maybe, he murmured. But we're alive. By morning, the pack had gathered again, whispering rumors of the red moon and the strange power that had surged through the forest. Some said it was a blessing. Others said it was a warning. Lucian called a meeting in the great hall. Amara stood beside him, still pale but alive. The rogues are gathering, Darius said grimly. We've spotted their scouts near the northern ridge. Lucian nodded. Then we fight. Amara frowned. We can't keep fighting forever. What do you suggest? He asked. Find out why they want the blood moon's power, she said. If we understand it, maybe we can end it. Darius scoffed. You think they'll just tell us? No, Amara said, meeting Lucian's gaze. But I think I can make them. Lucian studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. You'll need protection. I don't need your guards. I wasn't offering guards, he said, stepping closer. I'm coming with you. Her heart skipped. Lucian. This isn't up for debate. She exhaled sharply. You're infuriating. He smiled faintly. You love that about me. She tried not to, but she smiled too. Later that night, as the pack prepared for war, Amara stood on the balcony overlooking the valley. The moon was red again, like an open wound in the sky. Lucian joined her quietly. You ever wonder if this is all some cruel joke? He asked softly. Sometimes, she said. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's a warning. Or maybe it's a promise, he said. She turned to him. A promise of what? That we'll survive this. Together. She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. You really believe that? I have to. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. His touch lingered, warm and dangerous. You should rest. I can't. Then stay here, he said, voice low. Just for a while. The silence that followed was filled with things neither dared to say aloud. The air between them pulsed softly, alive with the bond that refused to break. Finally, she whispered, if we survive this, Lucian. He smiled faintly. What then? She looked away, her voice barely audible. Then maybe I'll stop running. Lucian's expression softened. Then I'll be here when you do. Far away, beyond the borders of their lands, the rogue pack gathered beneath a darkened sky. Their new leader stood before them, a woman cloaked in shadows, her eyes glowing the same red as Amara's mark. Let them think they've won, she said, her voice cold and sharp. Let them believe their bond is their strength. A cruel smile curved her lips. Because soon, that bond will destroy them both. And the blood moon rose higher, bathing the world in crimson light. The next morning came with a heavy fog and the distant sound of drums. War was coming, and everyone could feel it. Lucian stood at the edge of the valley, overlooking his pack. The warriors were ready, armor gleaming faintly in the pale light. But his mind wasn't on the battle. It was on her. Amara. She stood on the ridge, her white hair braided, her eyes glowing faintly red under the blood moon's lingering light. There was something different about her now, a quiet strength, a strange calm. And it terrified him. He couldn't lose her. Not again. When Amara walked into the war tent, all conversation stopped. The warriors, though loyal to Lucian, still whispered when she passed. Some called her a blessing. Others, a curse. Lucian was there, standing over a map, his fingers tracing the battle lines. We strike before dawn, he said without looking up. Their camp lies in the ravine. If we move fast, we can. Walk right into their trap, Amara interrupted. Lucian's head snapped up. Excuse me? She stepped closer, her tone calm but firm. They want you to attack. The rogues aren't stupid, Lucian. They know you're coming. Darius crossed his arms. And you know this how? Amara met his gaze without flinching. Because I saw it. Lucian frowned. You saw it? She nodded. In my dreams. The mark, it's showing me things. Flashes of what's coming. Darius scoffed. Dreams aren't strategy. Lucian silenced him with a look. Tell me what you saw. Amara hesitated. A forest filled with fog. Wolves waiting in silence. But there's something else. A woman, she looked like me, but older. Her eyes were red like blood. She said, Amara's voice faltered. She said the blood moon isn't done with us. Lucian's jaw tightened. The woman leading them. You saw her? Amara nodded. Yes. Who is she? Amara hesitated again. I think she's my mother. The tent went still. Lucian stared at her as if she'd just set the world on fire. That's impossible. Your mother died years ago. I thought so too, Amara whispered. But I felt it, Lucian. It was her. The same voice, the same scent. And the mark reacted when I saw her. Darius cursed under his breath. Then that means? She's the one controlling the rogues, Lucian finished grimly. Amara's eyes burned with unshed tears. She's alive. And she's coming for us. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. The bond pulsed faintly, pulling her toward the woods. She followed it, barefoot, until she reached the old ruins near the border. The air was cold, the moon bright above. Then she heard it, a soft, haunting hum. A woman's voice. Amara. She froze. Who's there? From the shadows stepped a woman cloaked in black, her silver hair gleaming like frost, her eyes glowing red. Her face bolder, sharper, but unmistakable. Amara's breath caught. Mother? The woman smiled faintly. My little moon. Tears filled Amara's eyes. It's really you. Yes, child, the woman said, voice soft. I've watched you. I've seen how the blood moon chose you. Amara stepped forward. Why didn't you come back? Why did you let me think you were dead? Her mother's smile faded. Because I had to. The power I carry, it's not meant for peace. It consumes everything it touches. Then stop. Amara cried. We can fix this. You don't have to do this. Her mother's expression hardened. You don't understand, Amara. The blood moon's mark was never meant to bond wolves, it was meant to bind gods. The moment it chose you, it doomed you. Amara shook her head. No. I control it. Her mother stepped closer, eyes blazing. You think you do. But that power, it doesn't belong to you. Or to Lucian. It belongs to the moon itself. And it's waking. Suddenly, a growl echoed through the trees. Lucian emerged from the shadows, fury blazing in his eyes. Step away from her, he growled. Amara's mother smiled coldly. The Alpha himself. Brave, foolish man. Lucian's wolf flickered beneath his skin. You're the one who's been sending rogues. I'm the one trying to restore balance, she said. You stole what wasn't yours. I didn't steal anything. Her gaze shifted to Amara. Didn't you? You took her heart, her soul, her freedom. You chained her to your curse. Lucian growled low. She's not chained. Amara stepped between them. Stop it. Both of you. Her mother's tone softened. Come with me, Amara. Before it's too late. Lucian grabbed her hand. She's not going anywhere. Amara's heart pounded. The mark on her neck burned painfully, reacting to the pull between them. Her mother's red aura clashed with Lucian's silver one, the air crackling with power. I can save you, her mother whispered. But only if you break the bond. Amara looked at Lucian, the man she was never supposed to love, and then at the woman who had given her life. I can't, she whispered. Her mother's face twisted with rage. Then you'll die with him. She raised her hands, and a surge of red energy shot toward them. Lucian tackled Amara to the ground just in time. The blast shattered the trees behind them, fire erupting through the forest. Lucian growled. Run. Amara shook her head. Not without you. Go. She hesitated for 1 second too long. Another blast hit, throwing them both apart. The world blurred. The last thing she saw before darkness took her was her mother's crimson eyes, full of sorrow and power. When Amara woke, she was lying in Lucian's bed, her body aching. The room was quiet, lit only by the dying embers of the fire. Lucian sat nearby, his arm bandaged, his eyes tired. You're awake, he said softly. She sat up slowly. What happened? You were hit by her magic, he said. We barely made it back. Her voice broke. It was her, Lucian. My mother. She's the leader of the rogues. I know, he said quietly. And she's not stopping. Amara buried her face in her hands. She said the blood moon's power is waking. That it'll destroy us. Lucian took her hands gently. Then we'll stop it. You can't fight the moon, she whispered. Then we'll fight fate. Her eyes filled with tears. You can't fight everything. He smiled faintly. Watch me. In the days that followed, the pack prepared for war once again. But this time, it wasn't just a fight for land, it was for their souls. Amara trained harder than ever, the mark glowing brighter each day. Sometimes it hurt so much she could barely breathe. Other times, it filled her with wild power she couldn't control. And every night, she dreamed of her mother, standing under a blood-red sky, calling her name. Lucian watched her from afar, torn between pride and fear. He knew she was slipping away from him, inch by inch. The more the mark awakened, the less human she seemed. One evening, she came to him after training, her eyes tired but burning with determination. I have to face her, she said simply. Lucian's heart dropped. No. She won't stop, Lucian. And if I don't end this, she'll destroy everything. You're not going alone. Amara looked at him, voice soft. If I take you, she'll kill you. He stepped closer. Then she'll have to try. She exhaled shakily. Why do you always have to be so stubborn? Because you're worth it, he said. Her eyes glistened. You shouldn't say things like that. Why not? Because it makes me want to believe you. Lucian smiled sadly. Then believe me. That night, as the moon rose red again, Amara stood at the edge of the forest. Lucian was beside her, his presence steady, his gaze locked on the dark horizon. She'll be there, Amara said quietly. Waiting. Then let's not keep her waiting, Lucian replied. They shifted together, running through the woods side by side, two wolves bound by blood and fire. The air crackled around them, the pull of destiny growing stronger with every step. When they reached the clearing, her mother was waiting, surrounded by her army of rogues. The moon hung huge and red above them, casting everything in crimson light. Welcome home, daughter, her mother said coldly. Lucian growled. This ends tonight. Her mother smiled faintly. Yes. It does. As the first clash of wolves echoed through the night, Amara felt the mark flare hotter than ever. Power surged through her veins, almost blinding her. She could feel her mother's magic pulling, trying to take control. Amara. Lucian shouted as a blast of red light hit the ground beside them. She fell to her knees, clutching her chest. The mark burned like molten fire. I can't, Lucian, it's too strong. He grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. Then use it. Don't fight it, control it. I can't. Yes, you can. You're the strongest person I've ever met. Her tears mixed with sweat and blood. Lucian. He pressed his forehead to hers. You're not alone. The mark between them glowed brighter, merging into one light. For the first time, they weren't fighting the power, they were wielding it. Amara's eyes turned pure white, and she rose slowly, her body surrounded by a halo of light. Her mother's face twisted in fury. No, this isn't possible. Amara's voice echoed with power. It ends now. The ground trembled. The light spread across the battlefield, consuming the red glow of the blood moon itself. Wolves on both sides froze as the energy rose higher, bursting like a storm. Lucian reached for her hand just as the world exploded in white. When the light faded, silence filled the forest. The rogues were gone. The moon was pale again. And in the center of the clearing stood Amara, trembling, glowing faintly, her eyes back to blue. Lucian approached slowly. Amara? She turned to him, tears on her cheeks. She's gone. He pulled her into his arms, holding her as she cried. It's over. But even as he said it, the mark on her neck pulsed once more, faint, but alive. Amara whispered against his chest, voice trembling. No, Lucian. It's just beginning. The night after the battle was quiet. Too quiet. Smoke curled through the valley, carrying the scent of blood and ash. The forest that had once been green and alive now lay silent under a thin veil of mist. The war was over, but peace didn't feel like this. Lucian stood at the edge of the clearing, his body aching, his mind heavier than it had ever been. The rogues were gone, vanished like a nightmare burned away by morning light. But he couldn't shake the feeling that something had been left behind. Something wrong. Behind him, the wind shifted. He didn't need to turn to know she was there. Amara. She moved quietly, the hem of her cloak brushing the wet ground. Her silver hair was loose now, tangled by battle and wind. She looked fragile, but there was something fierce beneath her stillness. The air around her shimmered faintly, like the world itself was afraid to touch her. Lucian turned. You shouldn't be out here. She smiled faintly. Neither should you. They stood there for a long moment, staring at the place where her mother had vanished. The moonlight was soft now, pure again, but it only made the emptiness sharper. Amara finally spoke. She's really gone. Lucian nodded. You ended it. Her voice trembled. Did I? He frowned. What do you mean? She looked at him, eyes distant. When the light faded, I felt something. A part of her, it didn't die. It went into the mark. Lucian's stomach twisted. What are you saying? Amara touched her neck. I think she's still inside me. The days that followed were heavy with rebuilding. The pack returned to Shadow Park, their home half in ruins but still standing. Lucian worked from dawn till dusk, leading his wolves, settling disputes, restoring the land. But every time he looked at Amara, he saw the flicker of red still hidden beneath her skin. She was quieter now. Sometimes she would stare into the fire, lips moving as if whispering to someone only she could hear. Other times, she'd vanish into the woods for hours, returning with her eyes glowing faintly. Lucian tried not to notice, but he always did. One night, he found her standing by the old stone well near the edge of the forest. Her reflection rippled in the water, but the face staring back wasn't entirely hers. The eyes were red. He approached slowly. Amara. She didn't turn. Do you ever think we made a mistake? Lucian frowned. What mistake? Fighting her. Ending it. He stepped closer. We didn't have a choice. She laughed softly, a sound that didn't belong to her. There's always a choice. He froze. Amara? When she turned, her expression shifted. For a second, he saw her, then he saw something else. Her mother. Cold, beautiful, powerful. Her voice came out layered, two tones in one body. She's still here, Amara whispered. She won't leave me. Lucian reached for her, but a blast of red energy pulsed from her skin, forcing him back. His wolf instincts screamed danger, power, possession. But he didn't move. Amara, he said, steady. You're stronger than her. You can fight it. Her eyes flickered between blue and crimson. I don't know if I want to. His chest tightened. Don't say that. She was my mother, Lucian. Everything I am came from her. Maybe this is what I was meant to be. He took a step forward, ignoring the energy burning the air around her. You're not her shadow. You're not a weapon. She blinked. Then what am I? He reached her finally, his hand on her cheek. You're the one who stopped the war. You're the one who saved us. You're my mate. Her breath hitched. For a moment, the red faded, and her eyes softened. Lucian. He leaned closer. Come back to me. And she did, for a moment. Her hand touched his, her warmth returning, the bond between them pulsing with light. But deep inside, something else stirred. Watching. Waiting. That night, Amara dreamed again. She was standing in a throne room made of stone and fire. At the far end sat a woman, her mother, wearing a crown of red crystal. The walls were lined with shadows, whispering in voices that weren't human. Why do you fight me, child? Her mother said softly. You can't kill what you are. Amara's hands trembled. You're not me. Her mother smiled. No. Look around you. The stone beneath Amara's feet pulsed with the same light that burned in her mark. The shadows whispered louder, their words forming one truth, bloodbinds. Her mother rose, walking toward her. You were born for this. To continue what I began. Amara stepped back. You destroyed everything. I saved us, her mother hissed. From weakness. From pain. From the curse of mortality. The moon chose our blood for a reason. Amara's voice broke. Then why does it hurt so much? Her mother cupped her face gently. Because power always hurts. But pain, my dear, is just proof that you're still becoming. Amara's eyes filled with tears. I don't want to become you. Her mother's smile turned sad. You already are. Amara woke screaming. Lucian was there instantly, pulling her into his arms. Her body shook, sweat soaking her shirt. He could feel the mark burning against his skin where it touched hers. It's okay, he whispered. You're safe. No, she gasped. I'm not. None of us are. He tightened his hold. Talk to me. She's coming back, Amara said, her voice small and terrified. She's using me, Lucian. She's trying to rise again, through me. Lucian's mind raced. Then we'll find a way to stop her. You can't, she cried. If she dies again, if you try to destroy her, I'll die too. Lucian's breath caught. What? She's inside me, Amara whispered. Our souls are bound. The following days turned into a storm of silence and dread. The pack noticed the change. The air around Amara grew colder. Animals avoided her. The younger wolves whispered when she passed, the cursed queen, they called her. Lucian silenced them every time. But even he couldn't silence the truth. One evening, he called Darius and the Elder Council into the hall. There's something we need to discuss, he said grimly. Darius leaned forward. It's her, isn't it? Lucian's jaw tightened. She's losing control. And when she does, one of the elders asked. What happens to us? Lucian looked away. If the mark fully consumes her, it could awaken the blood moon again. Darius swore under his breath. Then we have to stop her before that happens. Lucian's eyes flashed. No. We're not touching her. She's dangerous, Darius snapped. You know it. She's my mate, Lucian growled. She's ours. And I'll die before I let you lay a hand on her. The hall went silent. The fire cracked in the hearth, throwing shadows on Lucian's face. An elder spoke quietly. Then may the moon have mercy on us all. That night, Lucian found Amara standing on the cliff overlooking Shadow Park. The wind whipped her hair across her face. The moon above was waning, but the faintest red shimmer bled along its edge. Lucian, she said without turning. I know what they're saying. I don't care. You should, she whispered. They're right to be afraid. He stepped closer. You're not the enemy. Not yet. Her voice was soft, but her words cut deep. He moved beside her, watching the silver forest below. Then let me help you, he said. Let me carry it with you. She turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly red. You can't carry this, Lucian. It's not a weight, it's a curse. He cupped her face gently. Then curse me too. Her lips parted, trembling. Don't say that. He smiled faintly. I already did, the day I met you. She closed her eyes, tears falling. Why do you keep choosing me when you know it could destroy you? Because, he said softly, you're the only thing that's ever made me feel alive. Amara leaned in, their foreheads touching. For a heartbeat, everything was still, the world, the wind, even the moon seemed to pause. And then she whispered, if I can't fight her, promise me you'll stop me. Lucian's heart froze. No. You have to. I won't. She opened her eyes, glowing now, one blue, one red. You might not have a choice. The next full moon rose crimson again. Not as bright as before, but enough to send the pack into panic. Wolves howled restlessly, feeling the pull of something ancient and wild. Amara stood alone at the heart of the forest, the light painting her in red. The mark burned like a brand now, crawling up her neck like vines. Her mother's voice echoed faintly in her mind. Let go, my child. Let me in. She screamed, pressing her hands to her head. No. The air rippled with power. Trees bent. The ground trembled. The blood moon's reflection shimmered across the lake like spilled wine. Lucian ran through the forest, following the sound of her cries. When he reached her, she was floating above the ground, her body glowing red, her eyes pure fire. Amara, he shouted. She looked down at him, but her voice wasn't hers anymore. Lucian, her mother said through her lips, you should have stayed away. He drew closer, ignoring the searing energy pushing him back. I'm not leaving you. Then you'll die with her. A burst of power exploded from her, sending him flying. He hit the ground hard, pain ripping through his body. But he still got up. He always did. Listen to me, he yelled. You're not her. You're stronger than her. The air screamed around them. The ground cracked open. The mark pulsed wildly. Amara, he shouted again, pouring everything, his voice, his love, his bond, into her name. Her eyes flickered. Red. Blue. Red. Blue. And then, blue one. She collapsed. Lucian caught her before she hit the ground, holding her close. Her breath was shallow, her skin cold. Lucian, she whispered weakly. I can't hold her much longer. He shook his head fiercely. Yes, you can. No, she breathed. She's using me to open something. A gate. If she does, she'll come back, not as spirit, but as flesh. Lucian's blood ran cold. Then we'll stop her. Amara's lips trembled. You'll have to kill me. He froze. No. It's the only way. He gripped her tighter. There has to be another way. She looked up at him, tears glistening. You once told me you'd fight fate. I will. Then fight me. He shook his head, his voice breaking. I can't. Her hand rose, trembling, and touched his cheek. Then she'll win. And before he could answer, she pressed her forehead to his, whispering through tears, I love you. Then her body went limp. Lucian's scream shattered the silence. The forest went white with light again, but this time, it was cold, hollow, and endless. When it cleared, Amara's body lay still in his arms, the mark gone from her skin. But above them, the moon turned blood-red once more. The world had gone silent. Not a whisper of wind, not a breath of sound. Only the red glow of the blood moon hanging heavy above the forest, watching. Lucian knelt in the ashes of what had been their battlefield, Amara's body limp in his arms. Her hair, once silver like moonlight, was now dull and pale. Her skin felt too cold. Too still. He had fought wars. He had bled, killed, and survived. But nothing could prepare him for this. Wake up, he whispered. His voice was rough, cracked. Amara, please, wake up. Nothing. He pressed his forehead against hers. You promised me. You said we'd fight fate together. His throat tightened. Don't leave me now. Still, nothing. Then, a flicker. So faint he almost thought he imagined it, a spark of light beneath her skin, right where the mark used to be. Lucian's head snapped up. No, please. The spark grew, spreading through her veins like liquid fire. Her body jerked once, violently. And then her eyes opened. But they weren't blue. They weren't red either. They were white, glowing like the moon itself. Lucian staggered back. Amara? Her voice came out soft, layered, distant. Lucian. He reached for her, but something in her tone froze him in place. The air around her shimmered, humming with energy that felt too ancient, too powerful. What's happening? He whispered. I don't know, she said, clutching her head. She's gone, but something else took her place. What do you mean? The moon, Amara gasped. She's angry. The ground trembled. The trees around them bent as if bowing to something unseen. Overhead, the blood moon pulsed brighter, bleeding across the night sky. Lucian pulled her close. We'll figure it out. No, she said, her voice trembling. You don't understand. The moon gave us power, but it demands balance. I used my mother's blood to end her curse. Now the moon wants payment. Lucian's heart pounded. What kind of payment? Amara looked at him with those glowing white eyes. A life. He shook his head violently. No. I'm not losing you again. It's not your choice. The wind roared suddenly, and light burst from her chest. Lucian fell backward, shielding his eyes. The energy spiraled upward, a beam shooting toward the sky, piercing the blood moon. A deafening crack split the air. The moon fractured, not shattered, but split down the center like glass under strain. And from its broken core, something dark began to bleed out. Days passed. The pack buried their dead and rebuilt their walls, but Lucian barely spoke. He sat alone in the Alpha's chamber, staring at the sky through the cracked window. The moon hadn't returned to normal. Half white, half red, forever split. He could still feel Amara, even though she was gone again. Her scent lingered in his senses, her energy pulsed faintly in the air. Like she was near, but unreachable. Darius entered quietly, carrying a tray of food. You haven't eaten in 2 days. Lucian didn't look up. I'm not hungry. You can't lead a pack on grief, Darius said gently. They need you. Lucian's jaw clenched. They needed her. Darius sighed. You think she'd want you to waste away like this? Lucian turned, eyes dark and burning. She's not gone. Darius froze. Lucian. I can feel her, he said. She's still out there. Darius shook his head. Lucian, she died in your arms. Lucian stood, slamming his hands on the table. No, she didn't. I saw her eyes. I felt the moon move through her. She's not dead, she's trapped. Darius hesitated. Trapped where? Lucian turned toward the broken moon outside. Up there. That night, Lucian walked alone to the cliff where he and Amara once stood. The forest below was still healing, the air thick with magic. He closed his eyes, reaching inward, toward the bond they once shared. It was faint now, like a thread stretched too thin. But it was there. Amara. No response. He tried again, louder in his mind. Amara. And then, a whisper. So soft, it barely touched his thoughts. Lucian. He gasped. Amara? You shouldn't have called me. Her voice was faint, distant, echoing like it came from another world. Where are you? He said aloud. Between. Between what? Light and shadow. The moon took me. Lucian's heart twisted. I'm coming for you. You can't. Watch me. Her voice trembled. If you try, you'll break the bond, and the curse will finish what it started. Lucian's jaw tightened. Then tell me how to fix it. There was a long silence. Then, you can't fix what was never meant to be whole. Her voice faded before he could respond. Over the following nights, the dreams began. Lucian saw her, standing in a world made of silver light, surrounded by floating shards of the moon. She was beautiful, untouchable, her eyes still white, her skin glowing faintly. Every time he reached for her, she drifted farther away. He woke each morning drenched in sweat, his heart pounding, her name on his lips. The elders began whispering that he was losing his mind. Darius tried to intervene, but Lucian ignored him. He knew the truth. The moon had taken Amara, but she wasn't gone. She was part of it now. And if the moon could take her, maybe it could give her back. A week later, during the waxing half of the red moon, a stranger appeared at Shadow Park's gates. She was cloaked, tall, her face hidden beneath a silver hood. The guards stopped her, but she lifted her hand and said, "Tell your alpha that the moon has sent me." Lucian met her in the hall, suspicion burning in his eyes. "Who are you?" The woman lowered her hood. Her eyes were pure silver. "A messenger." "From whom?" She smiled faintly. "From the one you love." Lucian's pulse quickened. "Amara?" "She's fighting," the woman said. "But the moon's curse grows stronger. If you wish to save her, you must go where mortals are forbidden." "Where?" She raised her hand, and a silver key appeared in her palm. "To the hollow sky." Lucian took the key, feeling it burn against his skin. "What is this?" "The gate between your world and hers," the messenger said. "But beware, Alpha. The moon does not forgive defiance. If you open that gate, the balance will break, and blood will follow." Lucian clenched his fist around the key. "Then let it." The woman's gaze softened. "Love is a dangerous weapon." "I've already bled for her," Lucian said quietly. "I can bleed again." That night, Lucian went to the lake where the blood moon first rose. The silver key glowed faintly in his hand, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. He took a deep breath and whispered, "For her." Then he threw the key into the water. The lake erupted in light. The sky split open. The moon flared red and white all at once, and the world twisted. Lucian fell through darkness, air tearing past him, his body weightless. He hit the ground hard, gasping. When he opened his eyes, he was no longer in Shadow Park. He stood on a vast plain made of glass and light. Floating islands drifted in the sky, and rivers of silver flowed through the air. The broken pieces of the moon hung around him like fragments of a shattered crown. "Lucian." He turned, and there she was. Amara. She looked the same and yet, not. Her eyes were still white, her skin shimmering faintly, her hair moving as if underwater. "Amara," he breathed, stepping forward. "Don't." He froze. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly. "This place isn't meant for the living." "I told you I'd find you," he said. She smiled sadly. "You never listen." He reached for her hand, and felt nothing. His fingers passed through hers like mist. "You're not real," he whispered. "I'm part of what's left," she said. "The moon keeps me here, between light and shadow. Every time you dream of me, it's because I'm trying to reach you. Then let me help you out." "You can't. The moon's curse demands one life to replace another. If I return, someone must take my place." Lucian's jaw clenched. "Then take me." "Lucian, no," she cried. "That's not how it works." He stepped closer anyway. "Then I'll make it work." Tears filled her eyes. "You're going to destroy everything." "Then I'll destroy the moon itself," he said, voice fierce and trembling. For a heartbeat, silence fell, and then the world trembled. The sky cracked. The fragments of the moon above began to shift. "Lucian." Amara screamed. "You're breaking the balance." He reached her again, ignoring the light tearing through the sky. "Then let it break." "I can't live without you." She reached for him too, and this time, their hands met. The world exploded in silver fire. When the light faded, Lucian was back in the forest. The moon above was whole again, no longer red or white, but silver. And Amara. She lay beside him, breathing. Alive. Human. Lucian blinked, disbelief flooding him. Amara? She opened her eyes, blue, clear, and filled with tears. You idiot, she whispered. He laughed through his tears. I told you I'd bring you back. She smiled faintly, touching his cheek. You broke the moon to save me. He pressed his forehead to hers. I'd break 1,000 more. For a moment, everything was still. The night was calm. The curse was gone. But deep above them, far beyond the clouds, the moon pulsed once but faintly, like a heartbeat. As if waiting. Watching. The forest was too quiet. Lucian had dreamed of peace for so long, the kind that didn't come with screams or blood or fire. Now that it had finally come, he didn't trust it. He stood at the edge of Shadow Park, the night wind brushing through his hair. The moon above was whole again, silver and still. But it didn't feel right. It didn't feel alive. It felt, watching. Behind him, the door to his cabin creaked open. You're awake again, Amara's voice whispered softly. Lucian turned. She stood in the doorway, her hair loose around her shoulders, wearing one of his shirts that hung too long on her. She was pale, but her eyes, her real blue eyes, were back. Human. Soft. Beautiful. I couldn't sleep, he said quietly. She stepped outside, wrapping her arms around herself. Neither can I. Lucian looked up at the sky. You'd think after dying and returning, we'd both get a night off. Amara smiled faintly. You make it sound easy. He turned toward her, studying her face. Does it hurt? Being back? She hesitated. Not my body, just my soul. It feels like it's still catching up. Lucian reached for her hand, threading his fingers through hers. Then I'll wait with you. She smiled, but her eyes were distant. Lucian, you shouldn't have done what you did. He frowned. I wasn't letting you go. You broke the moon, she said quietly. You broke the balance. He shrugged. Then I'll fix it. She laughed weakly. You can't fix a god's wound. Lucian's grip tightened. Then I'll protect you until it heals. The wind shifted. A faint hum passed through the trees, like the forest itself sighed. The sound made Amara shiver. Lucian noticed. What is it? She glanced up at the moon. It's awake now. And it's hungry. By morning, the forest began to change. The pack noticed it first, the wolves grew restless, snapping at each other, pacing the borders. Birds no longer sang. Deer fled the woods. Lucian could feel it too, an unease beneath his skin. The air smelled different. Thick. Metallic. By the second night, the moon began to bleed again, not red, but silver. Its light fell like mist, coating the ground in a shimmering frost. Amara stood on the balcony of the Alpha's house, staring up at it. It's calling, she said softly. Lucian joined her. Who is? The moon, she whispered. It's looking for me. He frowned. You said the curse was gone. I thought it was. Her hand trembled as she pointed toward the horizon. But look. In the distance, the mountains glowed faintly, veins of light crawling down their slopes like living rivers. The moon's reflection shimmered in every stream, every drop of water. And beneath it, something pulsed, slow and steady. Like a heartbeat. Lucian's chest tightened. What is that? The moon's heart, she said. You woke it. The days turned strange. Time blurred. The sun seemed weaker, the nights longer. Shadows lingered too long behind every object. And everywhere Amara went, silver flowers began to bloom from the ground. Lucian watched her carefully. She smiled when others looked, but when they didn't, she'd wince, clutching her chest like something inside her hurt. He found her one evening by the lake, kneeling in the shallows. Her reflection rippled, not hers. The woman in the water had silver eyes. Amara, Lucian said sharply. She looked up, startled. I was just. He stepped into the water, pulling her up by the arms. You can't keep doing this. Doing what? She whispered. Answering it. Her lips parted. Lucian, it's not something I can turn off. It's in me. Ever since I came back, I can hear it. The moon doesn't speak, it feels. And it's lonely. He shook his head. You're not its voice anymore. Her gaze softened. Maybe I was never meant to be anything else. He cupped her face. You're you, Amara. You're my mate. Not its weapon. Not its curse. Her eyes shimmered with tears. And what if that's what I really am? Then I'll still love you, he said, without hesitation. Even if it kills me. She smiled sadly. It just might. That night, the moon's heartbeat grew louder. Lucian woke to the sound of distant howling, not from his wolves, but something else. Something deeper. He grabbed his blade and ran outside. The entire forest was bathed in silver light. And there, at the edge of the clearing, stood creatures, half wolf, half shadow, their eyes glowing like mirrors. They didn't breathe. They didn't move like living things. They shimmered. Reflections given form. Lucian growled, his alpha instincts snapping into place. Form ranks. His warriors poured from their cabins, forming a defensive circle. But when one of the shadows lunged, its body passed through a wolf-like smoke, and still left claw marks behind. Lucian. Darius shouted. They're not solid. Then make them bleed anyway. Lucian roared. The pack fought bravely, but it was chaos, silver light and smoke, claws slashing at things that weren't real. Lucian struck one shadow down, only for it to reform again behind him. They weren't fighting to kill. They were fighting to tire them out. Lucian's eyes darted toward the moon, still bleeding, still pulsing. He understood then. These weren't enemies. They were memories. The moon was bleeding through worlds. He found Amara standing on the hill, her arms raised, her body glowing faintly. The shadows surrounded her but didn't attack. Amara, he shouted. She turned slowly, her eyes glowing silver again. I can stop them. Don't, he yelled. Every time you use its power. Lucian, it's the only way. She closed her eyes and whispered something in an ancient tongue. The air pulsed, the shadows stilled, and then burst into dust. The forest went silent again. Lucian ran to her, grabbing her shoulders. You can't keep doing that. It's killing you. She opened her eyes weakly. You don't understand. It's not killing me. Her voice trembled. It's feeding through me. By dawn, she collapsed. Lucian carried her to the healers, but no potion, no spell, no wolf magic worked. Her veins shimmered with silver light, spreading through her body like frost under glass. Lucian, she whispered weakly, if it keeps feeding, it'll consume everything, the forest, the pack, even you. He knelt beside her, trembling. Tell me what to do. Her eyes fluttered. There's an old legend, the blood of the moon. It says that when the balance is broken, only the one who caused it can restore it, with their life. He froze. No. You broke the moon, Lucian. Tears rolled down her cheeks. You woke it. The only way to seal it again is to give it what it's missing. Which is blood. Yours. Lucian gripped her hand tightly. I'm not leaving you again. You won't, she whispered. You'll just become part of it. Like me. He shook his head, his voice breaking. There has to be another way. She smiled faintly. You always say that. That evening, he climbed to the top of Shadow Cliff, the same place they had once kissed under the blood moon. This time, the moon above was neither red nor silver. It was cracked again, leaking light that dripped down like rain. He stood there, holding his blade, the mark on his chest burning like fire. He could feel it pulling at him, not cruelly, but patiently, like it had been waiting. Lucian, Amara's voice called weakly behind him. He turned. She stood there, pale and shaking. Don't do this, she begged. He smiled softly. I have to. She stumbled closer. No, you don't. We can find another way. He touched her cheek. You're the only reason I ever believed in another way. Tears streamed down her face. You'll die. He nodded. Maybe. But if I don't, everything will. Then I'll die with you, she whispered. He smiled faintly. No. You'll live, for both of us. The moonlight grew brighter, filling the entire valley. The wolves gathered below, watching their alpha stand before the heavens themselves. Lucian raised his blade. I broke you, he said softly to the sky. So take what's owed. He drove the blade into his own chest. Amara screamed. The ground erupted in light. His blood spilled into the air, glowing silver, swirling upward like liquid moonlight. The moon pulsed once, twice, and then shattered completely, releasing a wave of light that swept across the entire land. The wolves fell to their knees. The forests lit up. The rivers turned silver. And when it was done, everything was still. Amara crawled toward where he had stood, but he was gone. Only his blade remained, embedded in the rock, glowing faintly with the mark of the moon. Days passed. The light faded. The moon was whole again, soft and white, no longer bleeding. The forest healed. The pack returned to their lives, whispering their alpha's name in reverence. Amara sat beneath the same cliff every night, staring at the sky. She didn't cry anymore. There were no tears left. Then, one night, she felt it, a heartbeat. Not her own. The mark on her wrist glowed faintly. "Lucian," she whispered. The wind brushed against her cheek, soft as a kiss. The moon shimmered brighter for a moment. And she smiled through her tears. He kept his promise. It had been 3 months since Lucian's sacrifice. 3 months since the moon had stopped bleeding, and the world finally breathed again. But peace, Amara was learning, was a strange kind of silence, the kind that echoed too loud inside her chest. Every night she walked to the cliff where Lucian had fallen. The stone still carried the faint shimmer of his light. His blade was still there too, lodged deep into the rock, glowing softly whenever she touched it. The wolves said it was sacred now, that the alpha's soul lived inside it. But Amara didn't come here for prayers. She came because she couldn't let go. The forest had healed, yes, but not her. Every tree, every whisper of wind reminded her of him. Of the way he had laughed, of the way his voice could turn steel into silk. Some nights, she still heard him. In the wind. In her dreams. In the pulse of the moon itself. The pack had changed too. Darius led them now, though even he admitted he didn't feel like an alpha. "The title doesn't fit right," he once said with a half-smile. "It still belongs to him." Everyone agreed. They rebuilt Shadow Park, strengthened the borders, and buried the fallen. But when the night came, and the moonlight fell across the valley, no one howled. It felt wrong, like singing without a heart. Amara watched them from her cabin window, fingers tracing the silver mark on her wrist. It glowed faintly now and then, like something alive. Like it remembered. She often wondered what Lucian had become. Did he dissolve into the moon? Did he still see her? Or was he truly gone, his soul spent to seal the wound he had opened? She didn't know which answer hurt more. One evening, a strange scent drifted through the forest. It wasn't wolf. It wasn't human. It was old. Familiar. The kind of scent that stirred instincts, deep and ancient. Amara froze on the path, her hand automatically going to the small dagger she kept strapped to her thigh. The forest around her shimmered faintly, like the air itself bent. A low growl echoed behind her. She spun around. Nothing. Her pulse quickened. The forest wasn't empty, it was watching her again. "Lucian," she whispered before she could stop herself. The wind stirred, brushing against her cheek. For a heartbeat, it felt like a hand, warm, calloused, real. Her breath caught. She closed her eyes, listening. And then, softly, so softly she almost thought she imagined it, she heard a voice. "Don't be afraid." Her heart leapt. It was him. She knew it instantly. She turned toward the cliff, where the blade stood, glowing brighter now than it had in weeks. The silver light pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. Amara ran. The cliff glowed like moonfire when she arrived. The blade hummed with energy, silver lightning crawling up its edge. The mark on her wrist burned. "Lucian," she breathed. "If you're here, please, give me a sign." The wind howled around her. The trees bent. The moon itself brightened overhead. And then, the blade trembled. She stumbled back as it lifted from the stone, floating in midair, surrounded by a swirling aura of light and shadow. The air crackled. The ground beneath her trembled. "Lucian," she cried out. The light exploded outward, and when it faded, someone stood there. A man. Barefoot. Shirtless. The mark of the moon burning faintly on his chest. Lucian. He looked the same, but not. His eyes glowed faint silver, like the moon had taken residence inside him. His skin shimmered faintly, as if light and shadow fought for space. "Lucian," Amara whispered, her voice trembling. You're alive. He smiled faintly. Not quite. She ran toward him, but he raised a hand, stopping her mid-step. His fingers hovered inches from her skin. You can't touch me, he said softly. I'm not whole. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You came back to me. I never left you, he whispered. I became part of it, the moon, the blood, the balance. I can't stay long, Amara. But I had to see you again. Her voice cracked. You promised me forever. I meant it, he said, his voice breaking. Just not in the way I expected. She reached out anyway, her fingers trembling. Her hand passed through his chest, but for a moment, she felt warmth. Real warmth. She sobbed, falling to her knees. I can't do this without you. He knelt too, his form flickering slightly. You already have. You're stronger than you think. I'm not, she whispered. Not without you. He smiled sadly. You were never mine to complete, Amara. You were always whole. The moon above pulsed again, and Lucian looked up. It's calling me back. No, she said quickly, grabbing at his fading form. Please, don't go. I have to, he said softly. But listen to me. The balance is fragile. There's something coming, something worse than the curse. You have to lead them now. You're the moon's last chosen. She shook her head violently. I'm not an alpha. You were my equal, he said, his tone gentle but firm. You're more than that. The moon marked you for a reason. Her breath hitched. Lucian. He smiled faintly, brushing a ghostly hand against her face. Don't let my death be your cage. Let it be your fire. The light around him grew stronger, swallowing his figure inch by inch. Amara screamed, trying to hold on to him, but her hands found only air. Lucian, she cried. His last words floated to her on the wind. I'll always find you. Even beyond the moon. Then he was gone. The silence that followed was deafening. Amara stood there for a long time, her body shaking, her tears falling freely. The blade fell to the ground beside her with a soft clang, its light fading. For the first time in months, she didn't feel anger or despair. She felt something else. Resolve. She picked up the blade. It was warm, not with fire, but with memory. With him. She looked up at the moon, her eyes hardening. If there's something coming, she said quietly, then let it come. I won't run. The wind shifted, brushing against her hair, gentle, approving. Weeks passed. Amara took her place at the center of the pack's circle one night, the wolves forming ranks around her. Darius stood beside her, proud. She raised the glowing blade, letting the moon's light strike its edge. We've lost much, she said, her voice strong. But we've gained more. We are the children of the moon, not its slaves, not its victims. We carry its blood, but it doesn't own us. The pack howled, the sound echoing through the forest, rolling across valleys and mountains. For the first time since Lucian's death, the howl wasn't sorrowful. It was a promise. A new beginning. Amara smiled faintly, feeling the mark on her wrist pulse. She looked up at the moon, and for a moment, she swore she saw Lucian standing there in the light, watching her with that same half-smile she'd fallen in love with. She whispered, I found my fire. And somewhere in the heavens, a voice whispered back. And I found my forever. Years later, when the new wolves of Shadow Park were told the story of the moon's curse, they always asked the same question. Did the Alpha ever return? And the elders would smile and say, he never left. Every full moon, when you feel the wind on your skin, that's him, watching over her. Over all of us. They called it the eternal mark, a bond stronger than death, stronger than fate. And when the moon rose full and silver over the forest, casting its light upon the trees and the lake and the cliffs, it looked like it was smiling. Because somewhere in its glow, two souls still danced, one of fire, one of light, forever marked by blood.